Hello students, multiple choice review number 2, and this is from 8 to the conclusion, so this will be finishing up. I'm not sure about the lag time, so I don't want to make these videos too awfully long. Alright, Mrs. Graves, so at what rate in pages per hour did Carrie read? Okay. She had 12 minutes to read, she read 5.5 pages. She read 5.5 pages in 12 minutes. Alright, here's the problem you're going to run into. It wants pages per hour. So there's a couple different ways you could do this. One way would be to do just a straight up division, but you have to make 12 out of 60 minutes. You have to use 60 minutes in that case. Right? Or know that that's 1/5 of an hour. Right? That's one way to do it. The other way is the strategy that I've been trying to implement with just setting up a table. Okay? So you get minutes and pages read. So every 12 minutes is 5.5. So if you go up to 24 minutes, that would get you to 11 pages. So in 24 minutes, you read 11 pages. If you then, let's say you double that and make it 48, well, now that's up to 22 pages. And you add another 12 minutes in there, that gets you up to 60 whole minutes, because 12 does go into 60 nicely. And you add another 5.5 in here, and you get 27.5. Right? This is a way that you can do it without having to use a calculator and without having to do a lot of really, like, here, you got to simplify. There's get mad, keep, change, flip, all that stuff's involved there. So, right. All right. Number 9, and this is just fresh off of our probability and statistics. So you can see clearly, before I even look at the choices, you can tell, okay, this class scored higher than this class. So now we'll start reading our choices. First period class had a higher median score than the second period class. Right? Second period class had a higher mean. Well, here it says the first period class had a higher median. Well, no, the first period was definitely lower, so that's out. Second period class had a higher mean than the first period class. There it is. If most of the scores are higher than most of the scores from the first period class, then that must mean that the averages are higher as well. Right. Number 10. Which T diagram shows all the possible outcomes for tossing a coin and rolling a fair number cube? Right. All right. Well, hopefully, you got 2 choices for tossing a coin. Right. So you should be able to get rid of this one because it just has heads. So this one at least splits off into heads and tails. But what has to happen is if you get heads, you can get a heads in 1, heads in 2, heads in 3, heads in 4. Okay. So really it's going to come down to these 2 down here. And if you look closely, if you don't look close enough, notice how these have all the same numbers and these have all different numbers. This is your answer. Right. A couple more and this one's done. An owner of a small store knows that last week, all right, it's either which fraction is closest to the probability and next customer will pay with cash. All right, first things first. This choice has to be changed to 1/5. I don't know why it came up with that question mark. All right, 54 customers paid with cash. 54 out of 249. This is a fresh problem, so this might be something that you remember. All right, now clearly what's going to happen is doesn't match any of your answers. Well, I can get rid of this one because I know it's not half. Okay, I might even be able to say I can get rid of that one because it's really not a third. But one way to really compare fractions together is to make them decimals. So if I make 54 divided by 249 a decimal, I get about 0.22. All right, so now if I start looking, I know a half is 0.5. I know a third is 0.3 repeating. A quarter is 0.25, so that's pretty close. It's not that far off. Right? But 1/5, if you don't know what 1/5 is a decimal, 1/5 of the decimal is 0.2. So it's the closest to 1/5. Right? And that's sometimes you might have to do that additional work to get to that point. All right, that leaves us with a couple more. Well, a couple easy ones too. Number 12, scientists. What was Antarctica's highest recorded temperature? Okay, so watch this. Highest recorded temperature. Scientists determined that the average winter temperature is negative 34.44. Okay, so I'm going to draw a picture of this. Hopefully you can at least get rid of A. Because the highest recorded temperature would not be lower than the average. Right? So here's 0. Here is negative 34.44. The difference between the temperature and Antarctica's temperature is 49.44, which means that the actual high temperature the highest recorded temperature is 49.44 degrees higher than 34.44. Hopefully that gets rid of choice D if you draw the picture, right? And hopefully, like I said, if you draw the picture, the answer comes pretty easily. Oops, wait a minute. Sorry, I just circled the wrong one. The answer is C, because it's going to be above 0. It's going to be a little bit above 0. All right, and then 13, we've seen this question. Actually, we've seen all these questions before, so who am I kidding? The expression below is simplified using two properties of operations. Which properties? In steps 1 and steps 3. So from step 1 to step 2, well, what happened? Oh, actually, from here. What happened from here to there? Right? And then what happened from 2 to 3? Right? Well, the second one ought to be easy, so we should be able to get rid of those two. Because the second one is the distributive property. It's the say-and-a-hat method. So then it's the commutative or the associative. And when you rearrange terms so that you can combine them, that's called the commutative property. Right? So this concludes. I would encourage you to, fast forward. Well, actually, if you're hearing this, then you're already through the entire video. So I guess it's pointless for me to tell you that. So, Mr. Sims, signing off.